Welcome to lesson number 4, working with the brains of other people. This class has been all about the science behind leadership, talking about your brain and how it functions. So we started out talking about the brain in general, and then we talked about whether leaders were born or developed. And then we talked about some specifics regarding your brain. So now let's talk about the people that you work with. Just like you, they have 90% of their thinking is subconscious. So they're running on their own programs. And that means that unless they become conscious of that and start making changes, they are going to be responding in ways that they have been programmed to respond. Now, for people that we get along with in our lives, both our personal lives and our professional lives, not a big deal. They have to deal with their lives, you have to deal with yours. But here's the thing. Sometimes we end up clashing with people. We end up having to work with difficult people. We have difficult people in our personal lives. We have difficult people in our professional lives, and we have to work with them, right? We have to find a way to cope and keep moving forward. So you can't reprogram other people, but here's the thing. If you have a difficult person in your life, and you've dealt with this person multiple times, you're running on a program of how to deal with that person. And let me add here that sometimes it's not so much that you've dealt with this person over and over again, as much as when you met this person, something connected, something clicked, and they reminded you of someone from your past. And so you're on this autopilot, right? You're using your past programming, and this person who reminds you of someone who embarrassed you when you were in high school, or someone who caused you emotional pain in college. Now you've got that program running, so you've got a little script going of how to deal with that person. If it's effective, if you're dealing with them and things are going great, well, more power to you. I'm happy to hear it. But if that difficult person is causing you stress and impacting your leadership abilities, then it's a problem, right? So what do you do about that? What do you do if this person is your subordinate and you're supposed to be their leader? How do you deal with this person? Well, step 1 that I want to point out to you is breaking the script. We have been talking about your programming and how you need to break that script. You need to do something different, right? Well, the same is true with other people. If when you see person X, you panic, let's say, because they have caused you emotional pain, then that person doesn't even need to say or do anything. And you look at them and boom, you're right there, you're panicked because of the programming, right? Well, you can't be an effective leader if every time you look at person X, you're panicked, or every time you look at person A, you get angry. You can't operate effectively as a leader. So, becoming aware of the button that they're pushing and breaking the script is vital. Become aware. What did this person say or do that caused the problem? Or how is their behavior right now in this situation? Maybe they're causing problems on a project that you're doing together. How is their behavior setting off your automatic programming so that you respond in an unproductive way, quite frankly. Become aware and then begin to break the script. And by breaking the script, I mean do something that is different while you are dealing with this person. Do something that is different. So maybe invite them out to lunch so that the two of you can talk. Maybe compliment them so that you can de-escalate a situation. But of course, always make sure that it is a genuine compliment. But do something that breaks that script. And let's say that it's someone who has caused you lots of problems as a leader. They just consistently are causing issues. You need that to change. A couple of things, a couple of strategies that will work in a project that, again, is breaking the script. Extend the olive branch. Give them some responsibility. A new part of the project that maybe you weren't going to give to them because you have had problems with them. Be clear in your expectations with them. You definitely want to de-escalate a situation so that this person is not at war with you. But you need to be clear that this is the situation, these are the expectations, and if they can't meet those expectations, there are consequences. So clarity is very important. It never ceases to amaze me when I have worked with conflict in the past. I have helped to de-escalate some situations where there was conflict. It never ceases to amaze me how many times the difficult person has no idea that they are the difficult person. It's very funny. One situation in particular comes to mind when I was working on an advertising campaign. And there was this woman who everybody just dreaded. The minute she walked in the room, they dreaded seeing her. You could feel the room change when she entered. And I was asked to come in and help this team to become more productive, to help them figure out what was going wrong. Well, immediately I spotted it. It didn't take much at all to figure this out. I could tell this woman was the problem. So I took her out to lunch and began a conversation with her. And I started out by saying, sometimes there's a person on the team that isn't quite fitting. And she immediately said, "Oh, thank God you mentioned this, because you know why this project isn't working? It's because of John. Oh my gosh, John is just terrible." And she started ranting and raving, going on and on. And I said, "Whoa, hold on, Sarah. Actually, let's talk about you and your role in all of this." And as I made her aware of how the team was feeling, she was totally amazed, totally astounded. She kept saying, "I didn't know she thought that she was being ambitious and bold. And so she honestly thought that this was what the team wanted her to be very, she called it being adventurously assertive. The team had a different word for it, didn't even come close to hers. And she believed that when she was questioning things and stopping progress, that she was looking out for the best interest of the team. And she was afraid, because she had worked with John on previous activities, She was afraid that John was going to take it over and make it his personal project, and she thought she was stopping that. She was totally amazed to find out that she was the problem person, not someone else. And so what we did was we sat down and had a very professional conversation that was carefully worded. Don't do a free-for-all. I have seen leaders do this. Sit down and say, we're just going to let it all out so that we can be honest with each other and everyone knows where the situation is. And it ends up dividing the group significantly more than it was divided previously. Human beings get hurt feelings. If you are going to have a session like the one we had with Sarah, where we made her aware of the situation, you need to lay down some ground rules, and you need to be the leader of the discussion and making sure that everything stays on track. So people using I statements, people focusing on the project, people being supportive and uplifting along with honesty. It's a difficult conversation to have, and if you need to have it, it's important that it be done right. Okay? So you being the one to direct and guide the conversation. So hitting things head on is one way to deal with a difficult person in a difficult situation. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is de-escalation. Taking things down a notch is just really important, rather than letting things continue to build up. So, if there is a situation where someone is being difficult and tempers are flaring and voices are rising, you need to diffuse the situation immediately. It might involve excusing yourself to go and deep breathe. It might be asking everyone in the room to go and take a few minutes to themselves and then come back and meet. But you will never accomplish anything in the heat of the moment. And as a leader, it is vital that you set the tone. I don't care how angry you are. I don't care if someone just blew a $10 million deal and the company is now hanging by a thread. You will never solve the problem in the heat of the moment. So I recommend that you take a few moments. If possible, go to your office, turn out the lights, deep breathe, clear your head. If not possible, if the time or the situation does not allow you to excuse yourself, then you need to right then and there close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath. Here's the thing. This goes back to the science of the brain. Fight or flight. When you are stressed, when you are extremely emotional, you do not have access to all parts of your brain. You do not have access to the logical part of the brain. When there is a stressful situation, your brain begins diverting all of its energy to the survival part of the brain. And it is going to shut down the logical part temporarily because it doesn't want to spread out its resources. This is very important. You do not want to make a decision that you will later regret. You do not want to say something that you will later regret. What you want is to be able to think logically and have a clear head. So if you find yourself in an extremely emotional situation, de-escalate. Get everyone calm down. immediately. Okay, immediately calm them down so that you can all then make effective decisions. Sometimes, as a leader, you need to ignore difficult people. Sometimes you need to confront them. Sometimes you need to develop a long-term plan with them. What is very important at this point is for you to remember that leaders are the people that everyone is looking to see how to deal with the situation. You must step up front and center and deal with situations. Even if it becomes, as I said, one of your options is to avoid a difficult person. Sometimes you need to avoid them if they're pushing your buttons and it's not necessary for you to interact with them at that moment. But it is important for you to examine your subconscious programming regarding how to deal with difficult people. I grew up in a family where my father did not cope with confrontation well. He did not cope with it well at all. And so he would go out of his way to avoid difficult people, difficult situations, and it cost him professionally. It really did. It cost him. His career never went anywhere because every time there was a conflict, he would turn and run the other way. Sometimes we have to hit it head on. We have to break the script, get in there, and talk to people who otherwise might scare us, might bully us, might make us feel insignificant. We have to deal with them. And we have to deal with our programming. Why does that person saying whatever they say why does it cause us to feel insignificant? Why does it cause us to feel like we can't be the leader we need to be? So again, it goes back to your programming. There are many wonderful strategies for dealing with a difficult person. Remember that they are operating on their subconscious programming and that you are operating on yours. So if you have had some conflicts and have not been successful with them, now is the time to examine the why of all of it. Why are you reacting this way? And then ask yourself, how can I react differently? That story I told you about Sarah, who was a major problem in a project, once she became aware that she was the problem, she was able to go into the situation, go back into the project, and when her mindset was telling her from her past programming to do X and Y, to behave a certain way, she was stopping and asking herself, okay, that's what my programming says, but what is a productive way now? What is a different way? It's about making different choices. You cannot use the same thinking that got you into a difficult situation to get you out of it. You have to change your thinking. So don't forget to take a look at the lecture and read it. Take a look at the suggested readings. Do your journal entry, complete the activity, and join in the forum to talk to people. And I just wanted to also mention that when you're in the discussion forum, please do not use real names when talking about colleagues. The reason is you never know when your colleague might be enrolled in this course, and we want this to be a positive, empowering discussion forum. So we don't want anyone to go in there and read something that might be challenging for them in terms of hurt feelings. So please remember that, and I hope you enjoy this lesson and continue moving forward in becoming the leader that you can become, the leader you were born to be, and that you break the habit of being ordinary.